morning all, and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. It's the second day of the week, and the cues are muted. Let's put it that way. Quickly, a bunch of global and macro cues that I want to point out today, and just be mindful of all of those. So first, what the U.S. markets did, and I think they did precious little. They were quiet, not too much, and the futures are quiet too. But viewers, I would want to draw your attention on one important thing. Remember, in Friday's session, the US markets did very well because despite very poor the labor data, and that is because people believe that now, because of such data, the stimulus will be a near certainty. Now you have to keep in mind that the US Congress adjourns for holidays on Friday, and therefore the overarching belief is that we might get some bit of a stimulus, that 908 trillion that everybody's talking about, 908 billion that everybody's talking about, excuse me, that number might just come out before Friday. That is the wide expectation, and which is why if that number gets announced, even though it's a known, it might still just give that bit of a fillip to the market. So keep that in mind if you're initiating large short positions, if you're thinking of initiating large short positions. Having said that, what does all of this mean for our markets, etc.? One, aside of what the US markets did, there are a couple of interesting charts. One is if we can pull up the dollar index chart, because that has been succumbing to some selling, and with the dollar index doing what it is doing, 31-month lows or thereabouts, it should augur well for the Indian equity markets or some of the other markets which take a flip or take a cue out of the dollar index. So the fact that the dollar index is trading where it is should be viewed positively. The other bit is, if you just look at the pattern on the US markets, and you will see a return of market breadth on the NASDAQ as well. And that is the important thing, that the tech heavy index is now not being dominated by 3 or 4 names, but a clutch of others are now trading above the 200-day moving averages, and that should actually be positive. Now, in light of all of this, what are we likely to do today? That's the key question. Quickly bring up what the Asian indices are doing. And the last time that I checked, they were mixed, marginally lower for most of them. As we can see, the two that we have on the screen, which is HSI and KOSPI, are trading at the day's lows. So no great shakes. There's GX Nifty. I doubt would be charting a pattern which is dramatically different from this. It may not be as lower as what some of the other Asian counterparts are, but I would reckon that the day would be flattish to marginally lower. Yes, it's trading in or around the lows of the day. So keep that at the back of your mind. Now, what the trade setup is looking like, I think there was sector rotation at play yesterday, and I reckon there could be sector rotation at play today as well. Yesterday, the banks took a breather. The question is, will the banks take a breather again today? Remains to be seen. Pharma stocks gained for a second day on a trot on improving optimism around the US business. You saw that in trade yesterday as well, that every pharma company which has got this global US business is doing well. Glenmark, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, all of those are doing well because there is optimism that the US side of the business, which was actually getting demolished from 2015 to 2019, wherein the business was down and out and companies were making losses, will now start making profits, and therefore you may want to bet on that cyclical side of the business, and therefore the companies which have that cyclical business, which is all the large major companies, might stand to benefit, and as a result of which those stocks have been doing well. I do believe that import heavy sectors could gain traction following the rupee strengthening. I spoke about the dollar index earlier. If we just look at the rupee versus the dollar, you will get a sense of how rupee has been strengthening, and that might just help the import oriented sectors. Speaking of dollars and rupee, well, the dollar inflow continues for sure for our markets. So the FIs put in some money in trade yesterday as well. I think the number was about 3,800 odd crores. Yeah, 3,792 crores. Foreign investors bought 3,792 crores in trade yesterday. They sold about 2,767 crores. DII sold about 2,767 crores. Nothing too dramatic, but yeah, FI flows continue, and that should augur well for banks. Keep that in mind. Speaking of banks, one of the banking stocks is the stock to watch in the session. I must tell you, do watch out for the Bank Nifty. But yeah, Canara Bank, no way, not a patch on the Bank Nifty, but I'm just bringing that out because it's a stock in news. They are approved. They are going to raise about 2,000 crores via QIP. The board approved the launch of the fundraising yesterday. The floor price is at 103 rupees a share. So keep Canara Bank in focus. Watch out for the paint companies, Berger Paints and Asian Paints. Record highs for both the stocks on Monday. The 7th straight day of gains for both the stocks. Asian Paints has now had the longest winning streak since January 2020. It's lasted for a few days and 7 days, as I said. And Berger Paints has had the longest winning streak since August 2019. That tells you the story about the optimism around the economy opening up theme and the home decorative theme. Valuations are sky high, but people don't mind that. So good gains. Let's wait and watch if these last. Some other stocks which saw some fairly good delivery-based buying and high delivery percentages, even though the volumes and the price action was very good, included some hotel companies like Chalet Hotels and Lemon Tree. So look at that. Look at those numbers. It's pretty interesting. You seeing 51% delivery for Chalet, 44% delivery for Lemon Tree. So pretty cool going there. There was Bishman Carbon had some good numbers too, and Sterling and Wilson Solar gained 16% with 44% delivery stated for delivery, which is actually a pretty good thing too. So do watch out for some of these names. Good delivery-based buying and could be interesting. CLSA has come out with a note saying that even though ACC and Ambuja face this threat of a higher royalty, they seem to believe that it might be in the price. So do watch out for those stocks as well. And last but not the least, what stood out for me, aside of the Indian stocks, was that water futures have started trading. Yes, you can now, I mean, if you were authorized to trade in that index on that board, then you can actually trade in water. It's a scarce commodity, according to a number of people. And California, water futures have begun trading amidst fear of scarcity. The fears of scarcity are some time away, of course, and you don't even know whether it will happen or no. But the point being that California water futures have begun trading. It's a very interesting story. I urge all of you to log on to our website and try and read about this. It's been long spoken about, but it's finally happening, and it's an event to hold, so to say, right? I mean, number of other commodities can trade, but water, that just stops it all. So do read that story. It's an interesting one. Have a good profitable day ahead. Watch out for banks in particular, but don't ignore the paint companies. Don't ignore the import beneficiaries, considering the strength in the currency. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup today.